Hello, everyone. My name is Evan Freiberger, and today we're going to be talking about the United States. As always, the weather in the United States, doing a little bit of a forecast here. And as you can see, looking at the United States, it is pretty quiet. It's about as quiet as it can be. So quiet, in fact, if a pin dropped up here in Canada, folks down here in Houston would probably be able to hear it. But there are some things going on today. It's not all quiet on all fronts, and we also have some tropical activity to look at as well to give you guys a little bit of an update there. Hopefully, actually, not hopefully, but some definite good news is to be reported there. And also, some future severe weather might be coming back into the United States and potentially a big snowmaker as well. So, we're going to be talking about all of that in this forecast. And so, just make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button if you do enjoy what you're about to see here. So let's go ahead and get down into it. All right, here's our little swirly dude off in the tropics. And I know a lot of you are probably tuning in because you saw the United States in the thumbnail, but trust me, all of these things are connected. And I think it's going to be best to kind of talk about the tropics first and then show you guys how that's connected to the United States weather, the snow that could be coming, and also the severe weather. All of these things are kind of connected in an interesting way. So let's go ahead and start off with this storm here. Last time we talked about this storm, it had, a 50% chance of development. Some of the models are backing off of that scenario, but as you can see, we still have a 40% over the next 7 days and a 2% over the next 30 days. And if we look at the storm right now, there is still some convection with it. It's still trying to get its act together. So it's still worth monitoring here, especially for the Lesser Antilles and Puerto Rico, but there is a very low chance that this is actually going to go into the United States. And that is one of the things that's going to be kind of helping us in the future to maybe get some severe weather, unfortunately, and then also some snow. So just keep an eye on that. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this other system. Coming back down here to the Caribbean, as you can see, we do still have a little chance here 20% over the next 7 days, 20% over the next 2 days. Overall chance, pretty low chance. You can see we still have some thunderstorm activity out there as that is, slowly moving into Mexico. But it seems like most of the models at this point have indicated that this is going to go into Mexico and kind of be a non-problem, maybe a little bit of a rain shower. If it does form, it'll probably be a weak tropical depression or storm as it goes into Nicaragua here. So not really too concerned about this whatsoever for the United States. But let's go talk about why that is. Looking at the satellite view, it's actually kind of hard to tell why. But if we come over here to the water vapor imagery, you can see that there is, something sticking out there. It's big old orange area. See, we had a little bit of a frontal boundary kind of draped down all the way down here to the south. But all of this right here, you see, it's kind of spinning clockwise. Look at that. And we got this big old area of dry air. If you live anywhere within this region, you are feeling that dry air. You're feeling a little bit chilly as well, especially down here in the south and northeast, and also in the Ohio Valley. And that is because we have a dominating high pressure system here, and that is going to keep any tropical activity pretty much out of the United States. Anything that forms with these two systems are just not going to be able to make it to the United States. They're going to get sheared apart if they try to get close, and if models stay true, there are going to be fish storms or storms for other countries. So this dominating high pressure system is really keeping the United States safe from tropical weather. So everybody give a round of applause for this high pressure system. It's kind of like a superhero using its dry air powers here to keep the United States away from these hurricanes. We've had way too much impacts, way too much tragedy in this in our country here, and it is a superhero. So huge shout out here to our high pressure system that is keeping us safe from the tropical weather. But this is kind of only one part of the story here, okay? This dry and cooler air that is kind of keeping us safe from tropical activity is setting up to be a broader pattern here. So as you can see over here on the west coast, we have something charting to develop. This is eventually going to be a cutoff low that we are going to have to watch as this little low pressure system out here and this high pressure system and the jet stream, which is kind of located up in this direction, is going to kind of work work together here. Not only cause some rain showers and some storms over here in, over here in Arizona, parts of New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah, but also to maybe bring just enough moisture to see some severe weather. And then this low pressure system over here is going to be bringing in enough cold air potentially to cause a big time snowmaker over here in the mountainous regions of the western portion of the United States. Then after that, this storm is going to move off to the north and east and bring those cooler temperatures and warmer temperatures with it. So let's kind of break down what we can expect on those fronts. I think the best way to visualize this system is going to be looking at the GFS and the 500 millibars. We're looking way above the atmosphere, like where planes fly with this. So we're looking at the winds in this area. All right, pushing this forward like you're in the airport and there's a bunch of people in between you and your long lost lover. You can see that the winds are going to be continuing to kind of move off to the east. That's that low pressure system off of the eastern coast there. And then you can see we're kind of starting to see the jet stream dip down as we get into the 17th. Then moving into the 18th, you can see it really starts to dig all the way down where we start to see a little bit of a low pressure form over there near Nevada and Utah. And that's going to continue to push all the way down and bring some stronger winds aloft. And this is going to bring that little cold shot all the way down into the upper regions and a little bit lower elevations here in parts of the western portions of the United States, bringing some snow up there. But down here in New Mexico, we might have a little bit of a severe weather risk develop from New Mexico all the way up into Colorado. But one of the things that is kind of interesting is that as this moves into the 20th, into the 21st, you can see that we do have a decent amount of shear here. And if we go over to the instability, which is important for feeding these storms, kind of like, if you're going to a Chinese restaurant, right, you are the low pressure system and the sushi or the lo mein or the fried rice is the instability. And if you eat that kind of stuff, you feel a little bit energized. And storms are the same. If we come over here to the instability here, you can see that we do have a decent amount of instability associated with this storm. It's just enough to potentially cause some severe weather, especially as it lines up there in areas like New Mexico and Colorado. Could definitely see some severe weather there. Then as this pushes into like the Kansas and Oklahoma region, you can see going into the 21st, in the morning hours here, which is not really great, especially this time of year for instability causing severe weather. You can see as we switch over to the future radar, there's rain out in front of that instability. This is something that we call crap convection. Now, this is what we need to monitor for. If this kind of dries up on the eastern side and we can see that instability sector get a little bit bigger and a little bit further up to the north, we could be seeing some severe weather all the way from northern Texas up into Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. But a lot of things are going to have to change. We're a little bit far out here, around 5 to 6 days. So still a lot of question marks on what we're going to see here. But, overall, it's definitely something to look out for. But let's go ahead and switch this over to the winter radar and see what we got going on there. The big area of interest for the snowfall with this upcoming pattern is going to be the mountainous region, starting up there, going into tomorrow morning. You can see we're starting to see some snow up over here for Idaho and Montana. That eventually starts to move down to the south a little bit further, going into the 17th in that night times and morning hours. And then going into the 18th, you can see that we have a decent area of some widespread mountainous snow all the way from Nevada going down into Utah. So get ready to see those white peaks of your mountains. And it continues to push down to the south and east a little bit further and a little bit further, going into parts of Utah and in Wyoming, going into Colorado as well, going into the nighttime hours of the 18th. And then pushing this even further, you can see this thing kind of just sits up and swirls a little bit. So the mountainous regions over there in the four corners here of Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado in the mountainous regions could definitely get some snow for a little bit. So a decent amount of snowfall could be possible there. Let's go look at some of those totals. So these are the estimated totals here, folks. And as you can see, some areas on the mountainous regions are going to be getting up to almost 2 feet of snow is possible. But I do want to put a huge caveat on this and tell you guys that this is this is far out. So these numbers are going to change around. Things are going to shift around. If we got a weaker low pressure system or it doesn't stall for as long, these are definitely going to go down. Okay. But just keep in mind that some of the peaks of this mountain, if you guys like to hike out in these regions or just live up there in general, could see anywhere from 1 to 2 feet. And in some areas on the southern portion of the Rockies here, could get almost 3 to 4 feet of snow on the peaks. When's the last time we said that? It has been a while since we've talked about this much snow. I mean, obviously this is for, mainly the tops of the mountains, so not a whole lot of people are going to get affected by this, but, widespread snow could be expected anywhere, from Utah, 12 inches, a couple of inches, a lot of areas here in Wyoming could get some snow, a dusting of snow there, also into Montana as well, and going into Idaho, going into Nevada as well. So a decent amount of snow, kind of the first bigger snowstorm we've seen of this season, and it is for the mountains, but very interesting, very interesting. So as you can see, everything's kind of connected here. We got this high pressure system protecting us from the tropics, and we've got this cutoff low that's going to be about to move into the United States. The high pressure is going to be working with the low pressure to try to bring up some moisture. Looks like it's not going to be enough right now, but that could change. Sometimes the GFS kind of underplays stuff in terms of instability, but overall, all these things are kind of working together to cause all of these different weather phenomenon, and it's pretty interesting, is it not? But anyways, next thing that we're going to do is talk about the temperatures across the United States, as there's going to be some changes there as well. So tomorrow morning it is going to continue to be cold across the eastern United States, with 30s and 40s pretty much all the way across the board, from the northeast to the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes regions, down to the southeast. The only place where we're really seeing heat kind of hold on here going into tomorrow morning is down there in Miami, at least in the eastern half. Still have some warmer temperatures up there, but that's going to change as we get this new system to come in, and then we're going to start to see some of this warmth try to push off to the east as well. So going into the 18th or 17th, sorry, in the evening hours of tomorrow, you can see that heat returns for a lot of folks coming up here into North Dakota, South Dakota, also for Minnesota as well. Still generally cooler in the west, and a little bit cooler for peak heating hours, 50s to 60s in the southeast, 40s to 50s up here in the northeast, and then continuing to push this forward. You can see that heat is slowly meandering off to the east here. Going to start to see that heat build back in to areas like the Great Lakes, the northern plains up here, with 70s to 60s up there. Still holding on to the 70s and 60s in the southeast, and this is the 18th peak heating hours. Really cold actually behind the system, which again is why we're going to see some snow, potentially even closer down to some of the lower elevations, as you can see over there near Denver, trying to get down into those 30s, or below freezing, but it just might not be enough. But going into the 19th here, you can see it warms back up, for a lot of the folks in the Ohio Valley, 60s, 70s, going into the Ozarks, down in the southern plains, 80s and 90s still existing there, 60s and 70s down here in the southeast, and still generally a lot cooler there in the western portion of the United States, which is a huge flip-flop here in comparison to what we've been seeing. And now look at this, going into the 20th, out in front of that system, that heat is supposed to build in here, for a lot of folks, potentially even 80s getting up there in Minnesota, which is kind of crazy given the fact that we're in October. But yeah, and then it continues to build as that pushes off to the east as well. So that heat is going to move to the east, and then eventually that should subside a little bit as we get potentially another low pressure system kind of fling some colder air down into the United States. So the battle of the heat and the cold is getting started. The cold is pretty much invading the heat here, and right now they're stuck. They're stuck trying to fight. The front lines are slowly moving here, but eventually the cold always wins as we go into the winter. So we're really going to start to see the cooler temperatures return, and as these temperatures collide, and if we have enough moisture, that could bring back some severe weather as well. So we're watching out there for a second severe season. But that's going to be it for me, folks. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys